Hi.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm good, Kris. How are you?
I'm doing well today. Thank you for joining us here at Shutter 16 Magazine. We appreciate your time.
Of course. Yeah, I was just trying to get the hotel Wi-Fi working. It wasn't working, and I was like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna do it.
So I thought maybe we could start with a little bit of your history because you got started in
Yeah.
music at a really young age. So tell us a little bit, if you would, about your childhood and kind of your first musical experiences.
Yeah, I was put in music lessons when I was or piano lessons actually when I was around 2. My mom is a was a professional dancer and my dad is a composer, and so I think their love of the arts definitely kind of filtered down to me. Um, and so I was put in piano lessons from I can't really, remember any of that, but I did pick up a guitar when I was 5, and that was kind of it for me in terms of like, wow, this is the instrument. It changed everything for me in terms of how I think I was probably I think when I was playing piano, I probably was tinkering around with my own melodies, but playing guitar was one of those things that helped me see the through line between music history, music present, and then into what my own music would become. Um, and it was really, I mean, that time period, I remember being really little and playing songs for my dad and him saying, all right, now that's good. Now write this in the style of, now what would you do if it was in the style of Elton John? Now what would you do if it was in the style of Fleetwood Mac? Now what would you do if it was in the style of the Rolling Stones? Or what Beatles era would you choose for this? Or, and those were things that teased my brain. And I'm really grateful that I had a parent who kind of understood my thought process in that. And then as I got older, I was just writing my own songs, writing and writing and writing and writing. Um, and, and then it became my career. But I think I always knew that this is what I was going to do with my life.
Never a
Um,
doubt from even when you were younger.
Yeah, I mean, I I always had that dream of standing on stage and playing for other people, and a lot of that was very much about playing live music too. I think I have a real love of making records now. There are three different things to me. There's the craft of songwriting, the craft of producing and recording music, and the craft of playing music live. They're three very different things, and in terms of like the way that I love them, and I love making music from a very holistic place in that I love all of these things differently. um so as I get older and I keep learning things in this industry, and I would say I love the business of music too, as difficult as it is right now. I think it's a bit, I kind of try to think of it as a puzzle. Otherwise, I'll bang my head against the wall until I'm just. But yeah, it feels like a
Understood.
puzzle.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about your latest single, Alameda, because
Yeah.
it's so, I don't know, raw, powerful. And I just love the way it feels like so many different things all at once. It's got so many different like genres in there: rock, pop, indie, soul, a little country vibe. There's just all of it combined together. So tell us a little bit about what was the inspiration for the song and kind of what your experience was like recording it and writing it.
Yeah. My my experience with that song. Well, thank you for saying all of that. That song feels like, yeah, a digestion for me of all of those different genres. It also is incredibly personal. Um, I through in 2020, I went through a really difficult period, as many of us did, um, where I made the decision to leave a relationship that was no longer healthy for me, and probably for my partner too. And it's incredibly difficult when you've been with someone for a long time. You don't realize how deep the wounds sit, or or uh, how brave you'll have to be to leave a life that to leave the life that you've built. So that's the emotion behind it, and I think I think in some facet, whether you've gone through a divorce or not, anyone can relate to that. I think it's I think it's brave to say this is no in any situation to say this is no longer something that I can this is no longer a situation that is right for me or is even safe for me. Um, and I think it's very brave to get to the place where you are able to move forward with your life. It took me a long time to do that. The writing process was unique in that a lot of this upcoming record is me writing on my own, and I've been a co-writer both for my own stuff and for film and television and for other artists for a long time. But this record is unique in that I wanted to sit with myself, which can sometimes be incredibly uncomfortable. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's uncomfortable. This song is one of the only ones on the record that actually is a co-write. I co-wrote it with my friend Willie Morrison, who's another songwriter in Nashville and is an old friend. And so the fact that our friendship had gone back so long allowed me to be comfortable enough to really be truthful in this. Um, Otherwise, I don't think it would be the same song. Uh, and the recording process was my producer Paul Moak, who also did my last record, The Light Between. He's the producer on this upcoming record, and it was he always holds space for me in a really unique way, a really beautiful way. He he will enhance the emotion with his musicality, and at the same time would never step into the hindrance of an emotional moment. Um, that's a really special thing for a producer to be able to do. It's pretty unique. I'm really grateful to Paul Moak for both challenging me musically, but also hearing me in the kind of record that I wanted to make, which this album as a whole is a concept record. It's autobiographical, but it also has a fair bit of character in it, of like me actually playing a character. And I wanted to dive into that both musically, sonically, and lyrically, and to be able to do that with a producer is very, very, very cool. And I was really excited about that process.
Yeah, I think it, when you listen to it, you can see that it hear rather not see, but you can hear the intensity that was captured, and it's sometimes hard to, when you hear somebody play live, you can hear the intensity automatically and you can connect with the emotions, but to be able to capture that in any kind of other medium and transfer that feeling and that emotion, I listen to it through my computer, so it's hard sometimes to capture that, but it's just right there. It's like you feel it. And I'm so glad that
Thank you.
you had a producer that was able to capture that for you and really, let it come through, because that is, like you said, a special thing, and it doesn't always happen. For sure, it
Yeah.
doesn't always happen, and it really feels like that when you
Oh,
listen to
thank
it.
you. Well, that's all that matters to me. I mean, it's uh, I'm not an artist who has I'm an independent artist. My fan base is at this point in my career pretty small, but um to have anyone who has listened to this song or the other songs from this album that I've released so far, people have been really connecting, and that's all that matters to me at the end of the day. Um it's not it's real the ripple effect of having it affect one person, which then will affect three people, which then will affect, I mean, it's just about human connection. We live in such a divided time, and increasingly more isolated time, and the pandemic only exacerbated that. So I feel I feel like making music is really it's more important than ever to kind of bridge that gap of communication and of connection that we don't often have.
And I think what I've heard so far, it's just so beautifully done, because you can kind of feel your emotions and your vulnerability and everything with it. And it's just coming through. I can't wait to hear it all. So,
Thank you.
and you said you were playing, it's a little autobiographical, but you're playing some characters in it as well. So tell us a little bit more about the upcoming album, and it's going to be called Last Girl of the Rodeo. Is that right?
Yeah, last girl of the rodeo.
Okay,
Yeah,
Last Girl of
last
the
girl
Rodeo.
of the rodeo.
So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about
Um,
what your characters are and kind of how that all plays into this being autobiographical.
yeah. I think sometimes it's easier to the character itself is metaphoric in that um, I've been in this business now for 20 years, which sounds crazy. Um, it's sort of unbelievable even to me, because I still feel very much like a student of this business, and I think that anything you really love will feel that way forever, I hope. Um, but the character to me, how do I put this? The last girl of the rodeo is the last girl in the ring, the last showgirl, um, the girl who's aging out, the girl who everyone is, or the woman who everyone is saying, "Oh, you look so good for your age." I'll never forget when I was 30, walking into my publisher's office. I had a publisher at the time. I walked into her office and she said, "Oh, isn't it your birthday?" And I said, "It was, maybe it was yesterday, the day before, whatever." And she goes, "Oh," she said, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 30. I just turned 30." And she said, "Wow, you look so good for your age."
Mm.
And it was the first time that I realized that, not the first time, I knew there was a clock on women in the music business. And that's not to say that the clock runs out. It's just that the clock doesn't exist for men, whereas it exists for women. And don't even get me started on non-binary folks and people in the LGBTQ community. That's a whole different can of worms. That my experience as a woman um, is so, yeah, the clock doesn't really exist for men. It's they're allowed to age, they're allowed to learn, they're allowed to grow. For women, it's the definitions of where you sit feel very finite, and a lot of this record is my commentary on that. I think the lack of women's stories, as and particularly uh, women who are not in pop music, or women who have been doing this for a few years, those stories become fewer and farther between. um, that was really highlighted in Bonnie Raitt winning her Grammy, and a lot of newspapers saying, or one particular newspaper, I guess, saying, "Who is Bonnie Raitt?"
Mm.
It's Bonnie Raitt is a beacon to me, and that was the most unbelievable thing to me. Would that have happened to Mick Jagger? It's not to go off on a whole tangent, but I think me exploring the character of where does my femininity and where does my womanhood fit into myself as an artist in this business, and how I wanted to make my commentary on it, not in an interview, but in the music. That my experience of my life in this industry is important and is just as important as a man's experience. And women's stories are not often told unless, or are not often amplified unless, unless they fit into a very finite box. Um, and I wanted to play with that discomfort in this set of recordings. So Last Girl of the Rodeo is the last girl in the ring, the last girl at the party. The girl everyone told her to go home, and she's still
Mhm.
there drinking her high life.
Do you have a
So
release date yet for the new record or a time frame in mind?
the full album will be out. It will come out in August. I believe the release date is August 25th, but don't quote me on that. Avery actually probably knows that better than I do.
Nice.
But I am the other unique piece of releasing this album is that I'm releasing it in sequence. So every song from the album is being released up until the release date, with the exception of one song, which is it's the only thing that I'm holding back. But it is truly a concept record. The songs bleed into one another. It's the reason why, if you go and listen on Spotify or Apple, you'll see every time I release a new song, it's in the sequence of the other songs that came before it. And if you start the listen from the top, every song will bleed into the other, and it's really meant to be heard that way as a story. I wanted to tell the story. Again, I don't owe a label anything, and they don't get to tell me what to do, so I can tell the story exactly as I want to tell the story. um my my tongue-in-cheek sort of uh nod to the showgirlness of it, or to the entertainment business aspect of it, is that the record is 22 and a half minutes long, which is the length of a sitcom. So what I've been saying is that it's a tragedy in the length of a comedy.
Nice. Now, you've got some show dates coming up.
Yeah.
We got a show tomorrow in North Carolina, and we have a show Sunday night right here in Charlotte, which is where I am. And I'm so looking forward to coming and seeing you at the show. It's going to be awesome. So just
Oh,
tell
it's
us a
gonna be
little
great.
bit about how your shows go and what people can expect when they come out.
Oh man. Well, first of all, I'm out here supporting an amazing artist named David Ramirez, who is just, oh, he's just astounding as a songwriter, as a vocalist, as a storyteller. So to be playing shows with an artist that I truly just admire so much and really enjoy his show, it's very cool. So being out here playing my songs before he goes on is just awesome. We are almost done with this tour together, which I'm really sad about. Um, but I think what you can expect from my show, I would say honesty. I kind of call it like I see it. I'll be playing some older songs too, as well. And then a lot of songs that are on this new record, and that are some that haven't been heard yet, that aren't released yet. So anyone who's in these audiences will be getting a preview of that. And after these shows are done in North Carolina, I play a festival in Florida called Rock by the Sea, which is a charity festival. All the proceeds go to um, pediatric cancer research.
Very nice.
And a very good friend of mine, another singer songwriter, who you should check out. His name is Steve Everett. Steve Everett is the VP of that charity and puts this together every year, alongside the founder, Beth Gosnell. And it's a great festival, lots of friends on it. After that, I believe I'm playing in Nashville in June 1st with friends, supporting a couple friends who have a band called Steel Fountain. Then after that, I'll be back up in New Jersey, at Ross Farm, which is another also just really great. It's a homestead outside of New York City, actually, it's a beautiful old farm homestead, and they host concerts there. Beautiful place. And then I've got some other stuff I can't tell you guys about yet because they haven't announced lineups, but
Gotcha.
once those are announced, you'll know.
Okay, very cool. Well, we're looking forward to seeing the show on Sunday night and definitely hearing some of the newer songs that haven't been released yet from the upcoming album. We can't wait. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today and fill us in on everything you've got going on.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
Oh, absolutely. I love what I've heard so far. I can't wait to see you Sunday.
Yay! I'm so excited. I'll see you then.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.